When using any design tool, I often find myself needing some sort of helper to align things or position things so they're balanced more on the screen. As you see here, I have just a simple iPad mock-up that's very basic. It's just a login form with some text input fields, a button, and a menu icon. Nothing out of the ordinary here, but what I don't really like, and what you might notice, is those things just look off center. They're not quite to where I would like them. So to help with this, I'm going to introduce some guides. What we can do to get guides into play is hit Command R or Control R on your PC. And like most design programs, you can literally just go to the ruler in the view, as you see here, and pull out a guide manually. And while that's useful, it's not always exact. And one big thing that Affinity Designer brings to the game is a guides manager. And this manager allows you to actually input specific points in your design to create the guides. So by default, you have horizontal and vertical, and you have these are horizontal and vertical, and you'll see those coordinates update in real time here, which is pretty useful. To actually add those from this view, you'll want to hit the new icon here. By default, it gets added in the middle of your document based on its size. The same is true for vertical. So already we have a central point for our design. We can go ahead and align the text here to that. So we have specific coordinates here. Say we want to add some that we know are just kind of global for the whole document, like assuming I want a 20 pixel border around the entire radius. I think I'll go ahead and add that. So we'll do that by adding a new guide, and it's going to add it horizontally by default, but we want this to be at the very bottom. So this point, this document, what size are we at? 1024. If I make that 1004, it should add that at the bottom. And then the same is true if we just add one that's 20. You'll see one at the top, and the same is true on the sides. 768 minus 20 is 748, and then we could just do one more that is 20 as well. A key thing you can do here is to make these percentages if you're not continuously worried about specific coordinates. Not sure the use case there, but I haven't used it myself. The nice thing though is you can revisit these and edit these to your liking. You can also drag these into view where you see fit and update manually. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this artboard. We can do so by click and dragging it this way, by selecting the artboard itself and shift click dragging it, or you can hit Command J on your document and then shuffle it over. I'm probably just going to do like 1,000 pixels to get it into view. And then we have the second one here. You notice those guides stayed in our actual artboard, so we have those throughout. It's useful if you create many views in your app or web design or something like that, that you want to maintain these dimensions and settings. So let's say we want to get into the field of grids as well. So Affinity Designer also has a grids manager and axis manager, I should say. By default, this isn't shown. You can show it by clicking this show grid checkbox, or you can do Command comma on your keyboard and it will show that way as well. So you'll have this basic grid to start with that's automatic. If you want to adjust this, you want to uncheck this automatic grid, and it will shoot back to certain spacing as well as divisions. That's basic. You can make those smaller, of course, which is useful, but you can also go into advanced, and there are quite a few different modes to choose from. Triangular, for instance, is great for perspective drawings. You can go just straight up triangular, 2:1 triangular, trimectic. Here's perspective as well. Left, oblique. It's pretty well endless here, and then those properties you can tweak as you want to. These filters here as well. So a lot of power here. You can adjust grid color as well. Something I like to do just to kind of separate it from the design so it's easy to see. Typically stick with standard and go from there. You can have up to 3 axes. There's the first, the second, and the up. You'll need to actually adjust that by clicking fixed aspect ratio, and then you can adjust this a little bit. So you'll see those the height of those boxes increase. And then you can adjust for snapping and constraining as well. So I tend to use the basic grid, and I only really use grids a lot when I'm working with icon design. So you might not see me use them a lot, but they are here for your help if you do something of that nature. You can go ahead and retain those. Again, the grids, if you have one on your said design, it should, if duplicated, maintain that across your other artboards. So these tools in collective allow you to align things a little bit better in your designs. Okay, actually a lot better based on the dimensions you set, and things just remain way more consistent, as you can see. So as I go through a design, I can keep things straight and tidy, and that's the point of grids and guides in Affinity Designer.